All right, in this video we're going to talk about operations on integers. Specifically, we're going to talk about exponents and how they work. All right, first of all, with exponents, some people will refer to these as powers. And the way we read this is 5 raised to the third power. Now, in this example, 5 is called the base number, where the 3 is called the exponent or the power. Now, another way we could read this, when it's a 3 as an exponent, we could read that as cubed. So we could also say this is 5 cubed. Now, notice what it means. The expression itself means that we take the base number and multiply it by itself the exponent number of times. So there are 3 of these 5s that we're multiplying together. 3. And then the result, 5 times 5 is 25, times the remaining 5 makes 125. So in example 1, notice the parentheses go around the negative and the 3. So the 2, the exponent 2 tells us that we have 2 of those negative 3's. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so the result is positive 9. Now I know example 1 and example 2 look nearly identical. Notice example 2 does not have parentheses around the 3 or the negative 3. So it looks like this, negative 3 times 3. In other words, only the 3 is getting raised to the power of 2 and not the sign. So negative 3 squared without parentheses is actually negative 9. Why? Again, it's negative 3 times 3, not negative 3 times negative 3. So a big distinction here between the two. So what about in example 3? Once again, notice that the 2 does not have parentheses around it. So in other words, the 4, the exponent 4, only applies to the 2. So it looks like this, negative 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So there's only one negative in the problem, which is going to make the entire result negative. So this is going to give us negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. So I know that doesn't really feel good to a lot of students, but it is just what it means. With parentheses, you have to include both the sign and the number. Without parentheses, the sign only appears once. So in number 4, notice the parentheses go around both the sign and the number. So it means negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Going from left to right, we have a negative times a negative is a positive 4. Positive 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 2 makes positive 16. So what you're going to notice is with parentheses, we have something called the odd-even rule. With parentheses only. If there are parentheses around the negative number, you look at the exponent. If the exponent is even, you're going to get a positive result. And if the exponent is odd, you're always going to get a negative result. Once again, it's important that you understand this only applies to a negative number with parentheses around it and an exponent outside of those parentheses. So let's take a look at a couple more examples here. All right. So remember, we have parentheses around the negative number. The exponent is on the outside. So we have to write that down 6 times. Now you do have to be careful here. A lot of times people want to say 6 times negative 1. That's not what it means. It means we take the base, which is negative 1, and we multiply that base number by itself the exponent number of times. So remember, there are 6 negative numbers. 6 is even. That's important. It's even, which tells us we're going to get a positive answer. So if you multiply a bunch of negative 1s together, an even number of them, you're going to get a positive 1 as a result. So 1 is the answer. Now, in number 6, there is no negative to begin with. So this just means 1 times itself 6 times. And that's just equal to 1. All right, so I hope you understand the difference between, or first of all, what exponents mean and how they work. They're just really shorthand for repeated multiplication of the same number. And most certainly you need to understand the odd-even rule, and it only applies to negative numbers with parentheses around them and the exponents outside of the parentheses, as we saw here in negative or in number 4 and 5.